The master Hui-neng said, "If you practice with the mind, you turn the lotus. If you do not practice with the mind, you are turned by the lotus. If your mind is correct, you will turn the lotus. If your mind is incorrect, you will be turned by the lotus. If the wisdom of the Buddha is opened, you will turn the lotus. If the wisdom of sentient beings is opened, you will be turned by the lotus." Scripture of the Lotus Blossom of the Wonderful Dharma. Chapter 2. Skillful Means. At that time, the World-Honored One spoke in verse, saying, "Formerly, following countless Buddhas, I fully trod the right path of the subtle, profound, and wonderful Dharma, which is hard to find, hard to see, and hard to understand. After pursuing this career throughout millions of eons, I discovered the fruit on the terrace of enlightenment and was able to perfectly understand. Like other Buddhas in the universe, I recognized the characteristics of every nature and form, and mastered the doctrine of innumerable meanings, such as emerging, settling, changing, and vanishing. This Dharma is unutterable, inexpressible, and impossible to explain in words, which are only signs. It is beyond the realm of terms and concepts. Among all the other living beings, no one can understand this Buddha Dharma except the Bodhisattvas, whose resolve and faith are firm. The Dharma of the Buddhas is extremely subtle and profound, inscrutable and faultless, and beyond reckoning or discussion. I know the marks and meanings of this Dharma, as do Buddhas of other ages across the universe. Let it be known that the teachings of the Buddhas do not differ. One should thus display great trust and faith in the lotus blossom of the wonderful Dharma. I speak no falsehood. I preach the highest truth. I employ tactful, expedient, skillful means to explain the Dharma to the world at large. I thus attract living beings who have myriad attachments and enable them to attain escape from their suffering. Listen carefully. The Dharma that the Buddhas have discovered is preached to living beings using countless skillful means. I thoroughly know the thoughts of living beings, the nature of their several desires, their past helpful and harmful conduct, and the various paths they are following. Knowing these things, I resort to manifold expedient devices, using parables, phrases, illustrations, and reasonings, to thereby cause all beings to rejoice. There are those who are continually entangled in the thicket of sectarian views, and who delight in petty rules, arguing, "It is thus," and "it is not thus." Such men and women are greedily attached to existence or non-existence, and fail to tread the subtle, profound Buddha path. They do not hear the Buddha call, and are tormented by a multitude of woes. For these vexed living beings, I say, put an end to your trouble. I tactfully teach them a difficult path toward nirvana, to enable them to glimpse the Buddha wisdom. But I never said to such beings, "You all shall attain the Buddha path." The reason I never told them is that the time for saying it had not yet arrived. But now is a fit opportunity, and precisely the very time I have resolved to explicitly and definitively preach the Mahayana Great Vehicle Dharma, also known as what really is. Within the Buddha lands in the universe, there is the Dharma of only one vehicle, apart from the compassionate, tactful, expedient teachings which use provisional phrases and expressions to describe a diversity of vehicles. The ultimate reason Buddhas appear in the world is to proclaim this one great vehicle teaching, thus fully revealing the Buddha knowledge, the Buddha wisdom. This is my true cause and aim. Let it be known that formerly I took a vow, wishing to cause all living beings to be just like me, no different. In keeping with my former vow, my wish is now fulfilled, for I hereby share the complete Buddha knowledge, leading all to enter the Buddha path. Thus I reveal and proclaim that all existences, from their very origins, are already of the nature of nirvana. Knowing this, and following me, my spiritual sons and daughters, the Bodhisattvas, in a future age, shall all be able to become Buddhas. Remove all doubt and uncertainty. All the world-honored ones, all of them, expound the truth of the one vehicle. For countless eons in the past, incalculable Buddhas have not differed. They have all preached the various holy teachings by means of illustrations, reasonings, parables, and innumerable tactful powers. Those world-honored ones all eventually proclaim the one vehicle Dharma and lead untold billions of living beings to enter the Buddha path. The great holy saints, knowing the deepest thoughts of all beings and what they most desire in their hearts, compassionately reveal the prime meaning. If any, even with distracted thoughts, express homage by reciting just once, Namu Buddha, they have all attained the Buddha path. If any hear this great vehicle Dharma, even if they have only heard the name of this scripture, and pay homage to it, they have all attained the Buddha path. Future Buddhas, of number incalculable, shall likewise preach the Dharma by resort to infinite skillful means, educating living beings that they may enter into the Buddha knowledge. Of those who hear the Dharma so preached, not one shall fail to attain Buddhahood. Namu Buddha. Namasadharma Pundarika Sutra. Every Buddha's former original fixed vow is as follows. By the Buddha path which I walk, I desire universally to lead living beings to attain this path as well. Though the Buddhas of future ages expound countless schools of doctrine, teaching numberless gateways to the Dharma, they shall, in fact, be doing it for the sake of the one vehicle. The Buddhas, the world-honored ones, know that nothing has an independent existence. No being or thing has its own separate fixed nature or body. All beings and things are inconceivable and mysterious. Knowing this, the Buddhas, who emerge from the Buddha seeds by virtue of causes and conditions, reveal the one vehicle. They reveal the secure stability of the great vehicle Dharma, ever abiding in the world. Having awakened on the wisdom terrace of the Buddha path, they skillfully preach that every phenomenon abides in the reality of suchness. The present numberless Buddhas in the universe, honored by men and women by expressions of homage, appear for the benefit, relief, and ease of all beings, ultimately proclaiming this one vehicle Dharma of supreme enlightenment. Those Buddhas who know supreme enlightenment skillfully demonstrate various kinds of paths, They do so, in fact, for the sake of the one single blessed Buddha path. I know the deeds and conducts of the multitudinous beings, that which they are mindful of in their deepest thoughts, the nature of their desires, their vigor and zeal, and the sharpness or dullness of their spiritual faculties. By explaining a variety of causes and conditions, skillfully using narratives, words, and phrases, and by resort to expedient devices, I tactfully teach according to their individual inclinations. Wisely knowing the dispositions and desires of men and women, I put them at ease by preaching various Dharma gateways. Then I rouse them to enter the Buddha path, causing them all to gain joy and gladness. Be it known, I see the sons and daughters who aspire to the supreme enlightenment of the Buddha path, who pay homage and draw near to the Buddhas with reverent, deferential thought, having heard and understood the many-sided use of compassionate, skillful means. The reason a Buddha emerges is to expound the Buddha wisdom, the excellent lotus blossom of the wonderful Dharma, thus revealing the supreme enlightenment. I, joyfully and courageously, free from hesitation in the midst of the bodhisattvas, frankly casting aside my expedient devices, now only proclaim the unexcelled Buddha path. As you bodhisattvas hear this Buddha Dharma, any remaining doubts will be removed. Keep this subtle, profound Dharma, this wonderful Dharma, this mystery of all the Buddhas, Nama Buddhas. As opportunity serves, by resort to myriad skillful means, and in accord with what is appropriate for the situation, the Buddhas teach the Dharma. But you already know the expedient, tactful, and mysterious ways of the Buddha. Such is the mastership of the leaders, the teachers of the ages. Therefore, rejoice greatly in your hearts, since you know that you yourselves shall become Buddhas. Revelation of the lifespan of the Buddha. After further elaboration of the one vehicle Dharma, the world-honored one proclaimed the following in verse. Since I attained Buddhahood, an incalculable number of eons have passed, during which time I have ceaselessly preached the wonderful Dharma, teaching countless billions of living beings. I have taught many such beings to enter the Buddha path, encouraging them toward full ripeness over time, and have roused myriad bodhisattvas, establishing them in the Buddha knowledge. Throughout these millions of eons, my resolve has always been firm to continuously preach on the Mount of the Divine Eagle and in all my other sacred dwelling places, the lotus blossom of the wonderful Dharma. This realm of mine is tranquil, perfectly safe, filled with devout men and women, and with bodhisattvas who are firm in their faith and resolve. There are gardens and groves with many blossoms and fruits, palaces and towers adorned with gems, musical instruments skillfully played, and flowers of various kinds raining down. My pure land of bliss will never be destroyed. I exist and am always here, expounding the Dharma. The glorious power of my wisdom knows no limit. My wisdom light shines infinitely, and my lifespan is of countless eons. Do not in regard to this beget doubt. Ever knowing the living beings who tread the path, and those who do not, in response to those who may be saved, I preach the right principles of salvation. My thoughts are always, how can I incline beings toward enlightenment? How can I encourage them to enter the unexcelled path and to speedily attain Buddhahood? The all-sidedness of the Bodhisattva, regarder of the cries of the world. A great Bodhisattva called Avalokitesvara showed supernatural powers and the faculty of transformation. So later, the world-honored one, in response to a question, described in verse the offspring of the Buddha. Listen to the conduct of Avalokitesvara, who responds well to beings in all places, in all directions. The cry regarder's pure, vast vow is as deep as the sea, accomplished over an inconceivable number of eons. I will tell it to you in brief. To hear the name of the regarder of the cries of the world, to see or regularly think of this Bodhisattva, will extinguish the woes of existence. Men, women, and children suffer embarrassment and discomfort. Countless troubles and woes press upon them. The cry regarder, by virtue of unblemished knowledge and mystic wisdom, can rescue living beings from their woes. Avalokitesvara is fully endowed with the power of supernatural penetration, has broadly cultivated wisdom and skillful means, is visible in all directions and in all regions of the world, and is ceaselessly working to end suffering and bring peace to victims of wretched states of existence. At that time, arising from the assembled multitude, the Bodhisattva Infinite Mind, out of the joy in his heart on hearing such a teaching, uttered the following stanzas. O you, whose regard is true and pure, serene and kind, benevolent and compassionate, wisdom's sun destroying darkness, who illumines all the world. O you, who rejoices in kindness, whose essence is goodwill, compassion wondrous as a great subtle cloud, pouring Dharma rain to quench the flames of distress. Yours is the wondrous voice, voice of the world regarder, who observes the sounds of the world, therefore ever to be kept in mind. From moment to moment we conceive no doubts. In pain, distress, calamity, and death, we recollect, we recollect. The pure and holy saint is rescue, refuge, protection, and escape. Perfect in all merit, with benevolent eyes beholding all, boundless ocean of blessings, we revere the regarder of the cries of the world. I dedicate any merit generated from my efforts to protect and assist the Lotus Sutra to the awakening of sentient beings throughout the universe. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu.